Hello again and welcome to Tap Into Miracles. Today I'm making a wrap with a collard green leaf instead of flour or any kind of grain. Let me get a lot of this stuff because it does fill up quite quickly when I add in the sunflower sprouts. It's all organic. When you are, especially for those who are wanting to lose weight, really use a little bit of this mayonnaise because it's just for taste. And we're going to be spreading on some hummus, some organic hummus. I like the garlic and lemon. So we spread that on. And as I was saying, you know, I used to be really chunky person, you know. I weighed probably 185 or 6 or who knows. I didn't really weigh myself a lot in those days. I was a carb and sugar addict. I was eating emotionally, and you know, the carbs and the sugars, they supposedly create the serotonin for your brain so that you don't, you know, feel the impact of the depression or sadness or whatever is going on in your life at the time, that you're trying to suppress those feelings. They hurt. I talk to a lot of my clients that are suffering with this, and it used to be that we just talked about the emotional stuff and not about the actual foods that they could choose from. So, and I'm not a gourmet anything, but this is a very simple, very tasty way, and you can add some coconut oil to taste for the to spread on the leaf. And I also put this in my salads. I put it on a lot of things because coconut oil is really good for you. So while you're healing in whatever capacity, be it emotional or physical or both, and what I've often found is that a lot of the physical pain and suffering and traumas that occur in our lives come from being imbalanced emotionally. What it is in our lives, and some things we can't help, you know, they're just meant to happen to teach us whatever lesson we need to learn. And so by taking advantage of the things that are available to us, the healthier ways of eating, there's so much information on YouTube about, I mean, as far as preparing foods that are healthy and tasty meals, and then you put some olive oil on here a little bit. And it's really delicious, as far as I'm concerned. I like my food too, you know, and garlic powder. All right, and you know, squash it down, roll it up. I'm sure there's a better way of doing this, but I just shove it in my mouth. But I'm not going to do that in front of you. So we're going to talk about emotional side of eating the carbs and the sugars in our next part of this. You know, we reach for the kinds of things that are going to replace the love. Basically, that's what it is. When you're shoving stuff in your mouth, or you're smoking a cigarette, or you're when you have to reach for that thing because you have that craving, basically there's a void within yourself. There's an empty space that needs to be filled, and sometimes it's associated with a lot of pain and trauma, emotional pain. It could be from childhood, it could be a past life, it could be a week ago or yesterday or 5 minutes ago. It doesn't matter. From when you were very small, it's a built-in protective device that tells you, this is worse than death. This is more painful than death. Why else would people go out and go into very dangerous places in the world, risking sometimes people with very successful businesses but very successful lives will risk everything for the drugs, because emotional pain is far worse than death as far as the inner child is concerned. The inner child, that's the built-in protective mechanism that was set in place. The fact is, it's there, and whether it's a piece of chocolate cake or a donut or a cigarette or whatever, or it could be gambling, it could be anything that distracts you, takes you away from having to deal with the pain that you're suffering with. In my sessions with my clients, I would instruct them to start off monitoring the worst, absolute worst fear, the worst pain that you're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. And if you can't find it, if you can't define it, then you just sit with yourself for a minute and say, I really need this cigarette. I really need to, eat something, and, just find yourself standing in the refrigerator staring like you expect something to come out of there that you have never seen before. Those are the times when you need to gather up all of the strength and initiative to either do the tapping or sit and meditate for a minute, close your eyes, breathe, inhale deeply. During the tapping, we do, even though I feel this craving, even though I feel like I need to have chocolate or a cigarette or whatever the drug of choice is, I deeply and profoundly love and accept myself here and now with this pain, with this suffering, with this craving. And even though I don't accept myself, I don't love myself. And if you did, you wouldn't be having the issue in the first place. So we know we don't love ourselves when we find ourselves in that situation. Okay, so even though I don't love and accept myself, I deeply and profoundly still love and accept myself as I am in this moment. See, we're bypassing the critical mind so that we can get a message. It's like a little envelope falls way down, and then it's delivered to the child within, and then there's, maybe there is hope, and that's what the child within, the sobbing, pain absorbing child within has to endure from you on a day-to-day basis, because basically every time you indulge in whatever the drug is and then afterwards feel guilty, you blame the child, and the child feels the pain, and so it's a vicious cycle. So the child needs more of the same stuff to get rid of the pain. So it just keeps going and going and going. The child, you love yourself enough to take that step to just do the quiet time, the quiet moment. And what that does for you on a physical / psychological level is to align the system, align the meridian system just long enough to allow a suggestion to enter in that sets you in the right mode. Maybe you're upside down, and get you back right up, so that you can accept this concept that, what is my life going to look like when I'm free of this? What is my life going to look like and feel like? What am I going to do with myself when I don't have this issue? I'm so used to having it. I know how to do this. I know how to be broken, but do I know how to be fixed? Do I know how to be whole? What are people going to expect of me when I'm not, in this terrible state anymore? Am I going to have to perform, blah, blah, blah? So what are my fears of being fixed? So those are the other things that might come up. To find the quiet times, the quiet moments where I can be at peace long enough to feel the pain and suffering that I have been trying to escape, and be just a few micro inches behind my eyes where I can view it without having to identify with it, and I can have a moment of healing in between the thoughts to come and give you a new feeling of what it feels like to not to be tortured by the oppressive ego. And any warehouses, the body is a warehouse, and it warehouses emotions, emotional energy, and it warehouses the past that you're not letting go of. So is it no wonder that if you're holding on to pain for a long time, for decades, for years, for a lifetime, that those organs wear out? You know, they're not being nourished by the loving energy that it takes to get you to live your life as you are meant to be living. Even though maybe I'm addicted to feeling bad because I don't love and accept myself. I forgive that. I forgive myself for not being aware that that's what I'm doing. I didn't know that was what I was doing. So I can forgive myself for that. It's not my fault. Top of your head is a real good one. Okay. Use 7 to 10 times on each area. Now, miracles don't need your cooperation. They don't need your permission either. You know, they just happen when you're open to them. It's amazing that to remain in a state of unforgiveness binds you to that event. It binds you to that person, so they still get to hurt you every single day. Even though they may they may be dead, they may be a totally different person, because you are hurting. You're doing it to yourself, though. It's the event is no longer happening to you. It's only in your mind, and your mind feeds the body. What I do is you imagine that there's a tube running up and down through your spine. It's hollow, okay? You imagine that you can actually breathe through the top of your head. And what you're going to breathe in looking up to the ceiling, and you're going to imagine that you're breathing in the power and the peace and the joy and the love that you gave away to the world, that you gave away to the event, that you gave away to the past. So you're going to call it back, and you're going to pull all that energy back that feeds your life, feeds your cells, so that you can truly heal. Okay? So inhale up, deep, hold it for a second, and exhale down. Good. And then inhale up, exhale down. And when you inhale as deeply as you can and exhale out, you imagine that you're inhaling that power into the body, and you're exhaling all the residue of the pain and suffering out into the ground. And even if you don't tap, if you meditate, you are doing the same thing. If you get deep enough and quiet enough, and where the ego cannot go, you are tapping into the sacred space. We're all headed that way anyway. We're all going back to the source of what we truly are, and to find that, to reconnect to that, because we got lost along the way, and it's not our fault. Okay? The whole idea that I want to know what it feels like to be beyond this. So I want to know what the opposite of this feeling is. Show me what it feels like to be at peace, to have this craving washed away, to recognize that there is another way of dealing with this, there's another way of looking at this, and to heal profoundly and peacefully.